Welcome to Light Novel Sound, where we bring stories to life. Get ready for an epic journey through Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, a story filled with action, mystery, and mind-blowing twists. A huge thank you to Sing-Shong for crafting this incredible story. If you enjoy this audiobook, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, sit back, relax, and let's begin. Chapter 41, Episode 9, Omniscient Sunfish, 6. What? What are you? I was surprised by the sudden change in thoughts. Surely he didn't regain his sense of reason after hearing my words? How could that be? I was a bit confused. In the first place, I didn't start this operation with the expectation of such a result. The Theatre Master's simulacrum is embarrassed. The Theatre Master's simulacrum has strengthened his control on the character Yo Jong-hyuk. Kuak! Yo Jong-hyuk's eyes blurred again. Indeed. I had felt hope, but it was unreasonable for him to wake up himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a sunfish. I would be grateful if he didn't commit suicide. The ether of Yo Jong-hyuk's sword trembled. The character Yo Jong-hyuk splitting the sky energy has grown. In the meantime, the skills received through transmission were becoming stronger. It was thanks to the talent of a main character. The white pure star energy gradually collapsed as I kept struggling. I didn't know if it was the limit of the skill itself or a difference in talent. I glanced at Lee Gil-young. Blood was pouring down from Lee Gil-young's nose. The time had come. Jong-hyuk. Perhaps after today, Yo Jong-hyuk would become surprisingly strong. I pushed his sword away as hard as I could. Do you remember what I asked before? I asked if I could hit you. There was a difference in natural talent. In the next few years, Yo Jong-hyuk would become incomparable stronger than me. But not right now. At least for now. You told me to hit you if I could. Do you remember? If I did this now, then at least for a moment. Blade of Faith is activated. The special option of Unbroken Faith is activated. The ether property is converted to fire. I could overwhelm this ridiculous guy. Ether Blade. The fire ether appeared in empty space. Hwararuk. Yo Jong-hyuk was surprised by the sudden attack and took a few steps back. He instinctively felt that it was something extraordinary. But it was too late. The stigma Song of the Sword has been used. Song of the Sword. It was one of the strongest combat buffs that the Duke of Loyalty and Warfare was proud of. Your sword is filled with the words left by the Duke of Loyalty and Warfare. There was a large variation in the attack power depending on which verse was sung, but it was a perfect skill for me right now. Shooting arrows like rain and protecting the Generalissimo from guns firing on all sides. Fortunately, it was a verse from the Nanjung Ilgi. Wiki link. An enormous magic power emerged and all the burning ethers were united. I swung it towards Yo Jong-hyuk. The chaos was like a thunderstorm. The fire ether took the shape of arrows and started to bombard him. It was an attack that couldn't be used for a long time due to insufficient magic power. However, this would suffice. Do. Kuo! Numerous red wounds appeared all over Yo Jong-hyuk's body. In this damn world where coins represented all values and the constellations decided the development of the world, I still needed Yo Jong-hyuk. Thus, I would protect him today. Hwararuk. Yo Jong-hyuk's actions stopped as flames burned the area. His fire resistance meant it might not be a serious blow, but it was enough to force him into a state of inactivity. I looked at the Theatre Master sitting at the edge of the garden. The Theatre Master's simulacrum is extremely alert to you. Now was the only chance. I started running. In the distance, I could see the Theatre Master stiffen. Then, the character Yo Jong-hyuk has used Recovery LV2. Damn it, Yo Jong-hyuk was already chasing after me. Recovery. It was a scam skill where he could recover quickly after being hit hard once a day. He already obtained this skill due to transmission. No matter how fast I ran, I couldn't be faster than Yo Jong-hyuk who used Red Phoenix Shurenpa. I ignored the Theatre Master in front of me and collided with Yo Jong-hyuk's sword. I could only believe in my last card. I cried out with all my strength. Gyung! Kukukung! The moment I cried out, there was a huge crack in the ceiling of Sky Garden. The black dome surrounding the roof was breaking. The Yo Jonghyuk running towards me was also the Yo Jonghyuk manipulated by the theater master. He looked up with surprise at the ceiling. It was generally impossible for the shielded area of a hidden scenario to be broken. But it was possible for uncommon existences. In the distance, Lee Gil-young was crying while wiping his bleeding nose. Yua uwah. In order to deal with a monster, you had to call a monster. Kuu. A huge insect dug into the cracks of the broken dome. Rattle. Like thin glass, the dome broke and the roof was split apart. The astonished theater master screamed. A monster that could destroy the shielded area of a hidden scenario. It was like a gigantic praying mantis, the insect king of great size. The 6th grade insect king, Titanoptera, has appeared. It was an appearance that caused goosebumps. The monster that had been fighting with the poisonous rhino the other day. This monster came here in response to Lee Gil-young's diverse communication. Lee Gil-young laughed. He. Titano. Titano? Don't tell me, it did look similar but surely not. Kuu. The huge praying mantis flew towards the theater master. Then Yo Jonghyuk blocked it. The character Yo Jonghyuk has used strong self-defense LV. Kwang. There was a massive sound and Yo Jonghyuk's body was pushed down into the floor of the rooftop. Yet Yo Jonghyuk was still standing. Kuu. He was really a ridiculous monster. He could do with a 6th grade species with his current abilities? Yo Jonghyuk even launched a counterattack. Kiao! The Titanoptera screamed at the hard blow. Surprisingly, Yo Jonghyuk was on par with the 6th grade insect king. Maybe it was something he saw when fighting with me. The color of the theater master was returning. Yo Jonghyuk was strong. It was a sudden situation, but the theater master thought he could win. He was wrong. He should have been looking at me. I ran towards the theater master again. There wasn't long left on diverse communicating. I wouldn't let Lee Gil-young's efforts be in vain. Blade of Faith is activated. The theater master belatedly discovered me and shouted. The theater master's simulacrum. According to the setting of Ways of Survival, this named boss was made with all the heart and soul of a constellation. A lot of time passed and he was in a deteriorated form, becoming the boss of a hidden scenario. However, he was still able to penetrate Yo Jonghyuk's mental barrier. The one who received the divine protection of a constellation. He was never a pushover. The theater master's simulacrum has triggered simulacra. It was a delirium skill on a higher level than the Spectre's welcome prison. The surrounding space distorted and all types of illusions appeared. The monsters seemed closer to reality than illusions. The ground rats, grolls, poisonous rhinos, T-Rex. The monsters I had encountered so far were running towards me. The fierce teeth and violence claws ripped and clawed at me, but I didn't stop. I wasn't afraid. It was all fake. They didn't exist. They were all fiction from a novel. The moment that the blade of faith reached his neck. The theater master's simulacrum has triggered mental erosion. Mental erosion. It was the advanced cognitive manipulation skill used on Yo Jonghyuk. I wasn't afraid because I had the fourth wall. But something unexpected happened the moment he penetrated my head. The theater master's simulacrum is embarrassed. Abyss of the ego. All types of thoughts gathered and the pages of Ways of Survival fluttered. This is. Numerous texts emanated a faint light and floated in the darkness. It was the chapters of Ways of Survival that I had read. The exclusive skill, Fourth Wall, is activated. The complexion of the theater master changed as he dug into my head. He looked at the strings around him and his face whitened. Don't tell me you. This was the last thing he said. Strangely, he looked at me in awe. The moment Blade of Faith was about to cross his neck, a dazzling light came from his body. It was like a ghost touching a divine light or the penalty for breaking a taboo. He was destroyed without a trace. I looked down at my hands and felt dazed. What just happened? The Theatre Master's simulacra has been killed for the first time. You have obtained 9,000 coins as compensation. You have met the conditions to clear the hidden scenario. You have obtained 4,000 coins as compensation. These messages rose. I looked back and saw Yo Jong-hyuk collapsing after being released from the Theatre Master's control. Fortunately, he didn't die. The same was true for Lee Gil-young, who had forcibly used diverse communication. Hyung. I rushed over and embraced Lee Gil-young. Lee Gil-young lost strength and fainted in my arms. The barrier surrounding the theatre dungeon has disappeared. The barrier covering the ceiling vanished and I looked at the Insect King. Surprising, it turned around and fled. It was like all interest had vanished. I breathed out with a sense of relief. It was over. Are you okay? Jung Hee-won and Lee Ji-hai staggered over. I'm fine. Hyun-sai. I'm okay. Fortunately, Ji-hai is safe. Lee Ji-hai was hit a lot by Yo Jong-hyuk and she couldn't speak because her mouth was swollen. The ending time for the third main scenario is approaching. Perhaps it was time for the end. I looked around the rooftop and saw that dawn was coming, making the day brighter. If Lee Hyun-sung was here, he would recite the homeland prayer. Jung Hee-won groaned. Ah! Seoul. The ruined city area was illuminated by the faint light of dawn. I heard intermittent explosions from far away. Now there was no more poisonous fog. The poisonous rhinos were crushed under the collapsed buildings. I could see people fighting among themselves. They were probably a group that ended the scenario before us. The entire landscape was trapped inside a huge dome. It was a large barrier that seemed to be breaking. Currently, Seoul was isolated in a transparent dome. Jung Hee-won said, "Really, it is all ending." It was a scene that had to be acknowledged once again. I looked at the collapsed buildings and thought that Minyo Soft would be somewhere there. Yo Sanga would be disappointed. It was because Yo Sanga was a person who worked hard. Lee Gil-young wriggled in my arms. Have you regained consciousness? Lee Gil-young nodded and pointed to the sky. From a distance, a meteor shower seemed to be falling. The meteor shower was originally the forerunner of the main scenario. However, the number of meteor showers was more than before. It meant the hall would open soon. The meteor showers were probably falling all over the world. Jung Hee-won admired it. Pretty. Jung Hee-won didn't know. The meteors that looked beautiful from a distance would make a nightmare for the people where it fell. Now a bigger disaster would come. Lee Gil-young gathered his small hands together and muttered something. Jung Hee-won and Lee Ji-hai were silent for a while. Maybe they were also praying. It was funny. Wishing to the beings who would become a source of nightmare, it was probably only human beings who did this in the entire universe. After a while, Lee Gil-young opened his eyes and looked up at me. Hyung isn't making a wish. I looked down at Lee Gil-young and replied, I have made a wish. What is it? Gil-young, you shouldn't ask that. Jung Hee-won scolded him. I watched Jung Hee-won, Yo Jong-hyuk and then the collapsed Seoul again. I wish to see the novel's epilogue. Lee Gil-young looked at me with confusion. I silently gazed at the sky. There were slight cracks in the sky above Seoul. Once the sun rose, the Dokibus would open a new hell. Chapter 42, Episode 10, Future War 1. Main Scenario Number 3, Emergency Defense has ended. You have obtained 1,000 coins as compensation. The main scenario, which was supposed to begin only after the sun had risen, actually started less than 10 minutes after the third main scenario was over. The fourth main scenario is about to begin. Damn, how long had it been since the third scenario ended? I went straight to Lee Ji-hai. You take Yo Jong-hyuk. Can I do that? You can't go downstairs now anyway. It will be a problem for when he wakes up. Lee Ji-hai nodded as she looked at Yo Jong-hyuk. Please inform me when he wakes up. I want to give him another hit in the back. I headed downstairs with Jung Hee-won. I carried Lee Gil-young, who had completely fallen asleep after the meteor shower. The dungeon disappeared and it turned into an ordinary theater. The items in the rewards room on the 5th floor were turned into ordinary stage props. It was as if everything that happened yesterday was a dream. Then Bi-hyung's voice was heard. "Do you know what I am going to say?" "Yes." Sigh, I nearly fell down. I felt a little relieved as I listened to Bi-hyung's grumbles. The constellations were powerful, but they weren't omniscient. It was because all the sounds and images of the scenario were transmitted through the channel. What did this mean? Was it filtered properly? I was too excited that I said too much. Of course it was. Is there something wrong with my channel? That level of information is automatically filtered. If my thoughts were correct, the words I said to Yo Jong-hyuk would be conveyed to the constellations in the following way. Do you really think so? You have already forgotten the determination of your attempt. Why are you alone? When you like a fool when you cried over when your loved one gave to her. Helping people and fighting against the dam. When you finally before the. In fact, I didn't know how much filtering there was. It might be more than this, but it wouldn't be weak. In the original work, Yo Jong-hyuk experienced information being blocked this way at the beginning, even when information about regresses was spreading. The constellations didn't hear anything. Don't worry. The problem is that even I didn't hear much. You didn't hear it? This was a bit odd. The Dokkibi also couldn't hear the information? Yes, that's right. What were you talking about? Information that even the Dokkibi didn't know. I had one guess. Perhaps the constraints of probability had begun? I naturally came up with something from ways of survival. Probability is a great deterrent that controls the star stream. I was reminded of it, but it didn't help me straight away. One of the reasons why Ways of Survival was ruined was that there were too many settings the writer didn't know well. What is the reaction among the constellations? They are fed up. There is still an uproar about what you were talking about. I guess so. The constellations experienced a filter and the movie suddenly changed into a silent movie. If they were smart, they should start paying attention to the possibilities I had. The fact that my words were filtered meant I knew information that shouldn't be revealed at the present time. A few constellations are watching you to explore your secrets. The constellation's secretive plotter is excited by your existence. 2,000 coins have been sponsored. I thought Bi-hyung had forgotten. I received so many indirect messages that I didn't send them to you. Do you understand? Do so in the future. I only want messages about coins. Am I your manager? The figure of Bi-hyung disappeared. I thought he was becoming cuter over time. One thing was finished and the other. Dr. Sai, is it hard? I'll carry Gil-young. Ah, it would be appreciated. I handed Lee Gil-young to Jung Hee-won. Her face looked somewhat serious. I hesitated for a moment before opening my mouth. Hyewon Sai. Hey! What are you worried about? No, just, Jung Hee-won hesitated for a moment before sighing. Okay. It isn't in my nature to keep it in. Indeed. Jung Hee-won got directly to the point. What is Dr. Sai's identity? Did you hear something earlier? A little bit. I thought she wouldn't hear it because we were quite far away. Unfortunately, she heard something. Jung Hee-won was closer than Lee Ji-hai and no human-to-human filtering is possible. Lee Gil-young let out a loud snoring noise. I decided to be half honest. I know part of the future. Really? Yes. Jung Hee-won thought about something for a while. She seemed to be wondering if my words were true or not. Then Jung Hee-won seemed to have decided as she bit her lips. Do Yo Sang-ga and Lee Hyun-sung know? They don't know yet. I answered in earnest and Jung Hee-won stepped away from me with Lee Gil-young. Surely you aren't going to kill me? Why are you saying this all of a sudden? Normally, a development like you know too much about me will occur. Where did this normal development come from? Somehow I seem to be a bad person. I don't know what the normal development is, but I would have already killed Huon-sai if I wanted to. Actually, that is a bit weird. I don't have bad thoughts. It is actually the opposite. The opposite. I looked into Jung Hyun's eyes and said, the future scenarios will be more dangerous. You might almost die many times and might lose precious things. So. I looked into Jung Hyun's increasingly nervous eyes and said, please stay with me from now on. What do you mean? It means to be my companion. It was time to make my people. Trustworthy people who wouldn't easily betray me. Jung Hyun, who I helped awaken and could read her mind, was the most suitable talent. Jung Hyun looked blank for a moment. Dr. Sai didn't consider me a companion before. It is actually the opposite. I'm not the one who doesn't think of you as a companion. Jung Hyun's eyes shook. I deliberately took a step back. If you don't want to be companions, think of it as a deal. I need Hyun's strength and my information will be helpful to Hyun-sai. It is give and take. The important thing is that our relationship won't change in the future. It is a bit abrupt. Do I have to answer now? No. For a person like Jung Hyun, a leisurely approach was better than a hasty and emotional one. In fact, Jung Hyun's expression wasn't bad. The character Jung Hyun is relieved at your honesty. The character Jung Hyun is seriously thinking about your proposal. Maybe it wouldn't be long. I had a big influence on Jung Hyun's awakening event and my presence would be deeply stamped in her subconscious. Perhaps when this scenario was over, the second sponsor selection would begin. Then Jung Hyun would gain a sponsor. The real power of Jung Hyun would be shown from then on. Then can I ask you something? Yes. Do you know what I am doing in the future? I looked up. Wouldn't this be filtered? I also don't know. Hey. There is no Jung Hyun in the future that I know. What? That's why this deal is really necessary for Hyun-sai. Jung Hyun's eyes widened. Jung Hyun wasn't in the original book. She was a variable that I raised directly. Her attribute was good enough, and if she got a proper sponsor, she would play a key role in changing future scenarios. Especially if I fought against people with other variables that I didn't know. Then a loud noise was heard from downstairs. Think about it. Let's hurry. We descended to the platform where many people were putting pressure on a small group. I understood the situation. The Landlord Alliance. They were still like this. Where did that bastard Kim Dokja go? Tell me quickly. Looking closer, I saw that the Landlord Alliance were harassing Lee Hyun-sung. I deliberately walked towards them and spoke in a loud voice. Yo Sangasai, Lee Hyun-sung-sai. You! An alliance member cried out as soon as I came down to the platform of line 4. I saw a familiar landlord uncle. The evidence of the fierce battle remained on the bastard's body. At first glance, I could tell that his overall stats had risen sharply. I liked it. Gong Pildu. Gong Pildu used arm zone and 8 turrets rose. The alliance members centered around Gong Pildu looked at me. They didn't know the person who saved them. This jerk. The moment Gong Pildu was about to say something, there was an electric current in the air. The fourth main scenario will start in 5 minutes. Along with the system message, Doki B. Hyun appeared. Ha ha ha, everyone. Have you been well? People's expressions stiffened at this nasty guy's face. It looks like you are all restless. What is it now? Of course I came because of the announcement for the fourth scenario. This is shit. Now, don't act like that. Don't you know I go after the first person who complains? The fourth main scenario has to do with the other stations. A fairly exciting story is waiting for you. I'm sure you will be satisfied. Everyone's complexions darkened as they heard about other stations. Chungmuro alone was this bad. It was obvious how much trouble there would be if other stations were involved. Bi-hyun laughed. By the way, In order to proceed with this scenario, you have to perform another task first. Won't it be a mess if the number of people increases? Therefore, you need a presence to lead you. In other words, there must be a station representative. Representative. It was finally starting. From now on, we will play a skirmish. It could be called a warm-up game. The rules of the game, well, you will see. Bi-hyung smiled and disappeared, while a message window popped up in front of everyone. The sub-scenario has arrived. Sub-scenario, elect a representative. Category, sub. Difficulty, C. Clear conditions, take the white flag installed in the center of the platform. Time limit, 30 minutes. Compensation, 1,000 coins, Chungmuro's representative. Failure. The representative of the station can exercise strong control over the members. Before the message window fully popped up, Gong Pildu was already running to the flag in the center of the platform. He truly was like a ghost. Everybody get out of the way. Gong Pildu pushed people like a runaway locomotive and was in the lead to get the white flag. This couldn't happen. The moment his fingertips were about to reach the flag, I opened my mouth. Gong Pildu, down. Under the terms of the contract, command rights is activated. Whack! I stepped on the back of the collapsed Gong Pildu and took the white flag. You have pulled the white flag from the flagpole. You have become the representative of Chungmuro. You are qualified to walk the King's Road. Chapter 43, Episode 10, Future War, 2. As soon as my hand wrapped around the flag, I felt a strong energy rising in my body. Originally, this was something the third turn Yo Jonghyuk should have, but it didn't matter. Wasn't he already strong? Kim Dokja has occupied the white flag. If the white flag doesn't change owners in the next 5 minutes, Chungmuro will be under his control. If the flag is snatched in the next 5 minutes, the timer will reset. A timer appeared in the air. 5 o'clock. Gong Pildu pointed at me with a pale face. Take away the flag. You only have to snatch it in 5 minutes. The alliance member belatedly regained their minds and started rushing towards me. Aho, it was like this? Lee Hyun-sung turned to me. Dokja Sai. Hyun-sung Sai. We called out to each other at the same time. Hercules' shield flew out of my hands into Lee Hyun-sung's hands. This. I picked it out for you. Throw away what you previously used. A big smile appeared on Lee Hyun-sung's face. The character Lee Hyun-sung has used the exclusive skill Wide Area Defense. A translucent shield centered on Hercules' shield surrounded our party. Indeed, this was the secondary skill attached to an A-grade item. Whoa, what is this? People groaned as they ran into the air shield. They tried to break the protective shields with their old weapons, but it couldn't be broken with E-grade or F-grade items. In the end, the alliance members had only one place to turn to. Pildusai. Out of the way. The level of arm zone had risen considerably and there was already a small arm zone under Gong Pildu's feet. He reduced the area to shorten the cooldown time. He was using his brains. Well, I had to handle it properly. Pildu, did I tell you to get up yet? Hyuk. Gong Pildu's head once again slammed into the ground as he fell flat. Under the terms of the contract, command rights is activated. Keep your head on the ground until I tell you to get up. The perplexed alliance members shouted at Gong Pildu. Pildusai? Pull me up. Quickly. The terrified alliance members tried to raise Gong Pildu up, but it wasn't easy because Gong Pildu was very heavy. And it is annoying, so turn off the turrets. The character Gong Pildu has released Armed Zone LV6. This bastard. Shut your mouth as well. Stay silent for 30 minutes. Under the terms of the contract, command rights is activated. The alliance members became completely panic-stricken once Gong Pildu became powerless with just a few words. Of course, the same was true for Lee Hyun-sung, Yo Sanga, and Jung Hee-won. I said with a smile, Now everyone seems to have figured out the situation and I'd like to talk to you. I could see people wincing and withdrawing. There were roughly 29 people left. 20 members from the Landlord Alliance and 9 extra people, including me and my party. The number wasn't high, but it was better than I thought. It was because having too many people at the beginning was difficult to control. I watched them and said, "Now you have 2 choices." It was time to pick a side. The first one is to leave Chungnuro and go to another station. Or stay here with me. What are you saying so suddenly? Just answer me. Will you remain here or will you go elsewhere? You better decide before the main scenario starts. Or else your life will be in danger. The eyes of the people present started to quickly move. Someone looked at me, someone else looked at Gong Pildu, and another person looked at the tunnel leading to another station. I could tell their thoughts just by looking at them. I won't stop anyone who wants to leave. But anyone who stays here will be under my control. Control? Behavior like the Landlord Alliance is no longer acceptable. I won't allow tyranny over a small group. A handful of people watching me furtively started to stand by my side. They had been treated harshly by the Landlord Association and thought it was better to stick with me. It was a good judgment. A few Alliance members shouted, "In the end, you are going to reign." I won't deny it. But I won't take taxes or survival money. Is our safety guaranteed if we enter your group? A man from the Alliance asked. Well, they bothered the tenants so much that it was natural to worry. I'll guarantee some outside safety, but I won't interfere with what is going on inside. You must deal with conflicts between individuals yourself. To that. I'll give you 1 minute. You have until then to decide. There was no need to wait for 1 minute. People had already made up their minds. Some of the Alliance members walked over to me with determined expressions and bowed their heads. They were relatively young. Thank you in advance. I was wrong in the past. Thank you for your generous forgiveness. It is a pleasure. You don't have to ask for forgiveness from me. Some members within the group felt a sense of trust towards you. However, several others decided to leave Chungnuro. They tried to raise the fallen Gong Pildu. I watched them and said, leave Gong Pildu. That guy is mine. What? If you have decided, then leave quickly. The 5 Alliance members frowned at this and withdrew. Kang Sai, do you really not want to come with me? It is better than staying under him. Let's all go. Are you really going to serve that guy? You've seen him. But there were no more defectors. The 5 men cursed a few times before heading for the tunnel towards Myeongdong. They wanted to gain land elsewhere and become new landlords. Unfortunately, their plan would fail. In the 4th scenario, the people wandering were good prey to predators. Once 5 minutes passed, the system messages popped up. The sub-scenario has ended. You have earned 1,000 coins as compensation. The white flag will show its true effects to the Chungnuro representative. Current group, 24 people. Your reputation is still too weak to gain the title of king. The title of king. Indeed, it was hard to get the title of king with just a white flag. In order to walk the proper king's road, I had to change the color of the flag. Of course, the white color had its own authority. You have gained control of the Chungnuro group through the effect of the white flag. You can punish a group member who goes against you. There are currently 5 people who have left. I could give a punishment to the 5 distant men, but I left it alone. Terror was effective in controlling people, but such tyranny wasn't suitable for me. Well, thank you, I said while looking everyone in the eyes. Lee Hyun-sung was looking at me with respect while Yo Sang-ga and Jung Hee-won nodded. The rest of them were looking at me with similar expressions. They were still rabble, but it wasn't a bad start. Shortly afterwards, Bi-hyun appeared in the air. Oh, you have voted for a representative. Then let's start the game. The 4th main scenario is activated. Main scenario number 4, struggle for the flag. Category, main. Difficulty, C. Clear conditions, hidden because there are many contents. Time limit, 12 days. Compensation, 2,000 coins. Failure? I pressed the clear conditions. Numerous messages appeared in front of me. Clear conditions. 1. Every station has a flag and flagpole that can be occupied. The flag can only be carried by the representative of the station. 2. You need to protect the flag from other station groups. If a flag is taken away by another group, the losing group will be taken over by the group that occupied the flag. 3. You can put a flag in the flagpole of another station. The authority of the flag is only for the representative of each station. Once the representative dies in an armed conflict, the authority of the representative is transferred to the person who holds the flag first. If you take the flag of another station group, the treatment of the group deprived of the flag is determined by the group that took the flag. 4. You must occupy the flagpole of the target station within a certain time limit. Failure to do so will result in the death of all group members. 5. The target station your group should occupy is Changxin Station. Zheng Hewan thought for a moment before opening her mouth. We have to keep our flag and flagpole while putting out flag in other stations. Am I understanding it right? That is how I understood it. We must take the flag to Changxin Station. Li Hyun-sung also spoke. Then I said, that's right. Everyone has understood. Zheng Hewan narrowed her eyes at my words. She knew I was pretending not to know. Now that I knew the future, she kept looking at me. I grinned towards Zheng Hewan. Yo Sanga touched her shoulder and said, again, we once again have to fight against people. Li Hyun-sung thought for a moment before replying. It's said that we can decide on the treatment of the group if we occupy their flagpole. Hopefully there might not be any casualties. Ah, I see. That death won't necessarily occur if we take over the station? If we can accept the members of that station group when deciding the treatment. Yes, it is possible to clear it without anyone dying. Li Hyun-sung replied with a smile. However, my heart wasn't comfortable. It seemed like Yo Sanga and Li Hyun-sung were trying to understand the world with some saintly logic. There was no such thing as a scenario where no one died. The fourth scenario would have more casualties than any precious scenario. As if she knew my heart, Zheng Hewan changed the topic. What line is Changxin Station? I think we should know that first. Li Hyun-sung confirmed it on the route map. Line 6. If we go to the tunnel, we can use the transit route. Then we should split the group. How about a few people guarding this place while others go to scout? I didn't have to say anything as they actively exchanged opinions. It was somewhat heartwarming. The activation of the scenario will turn off Chungmuro Station's safety borders. You can now freely move to other stations. As people were exchanging their opinions, I approached Gong Pildu. Gong Pildu, you can speak now. The command was turned off, but Gong Pildu couldn't easily open his mouth. I know that you feel badly towards me, but you have to adapt. The days when you are a landlord are over. I know why you have been so obsessed with land. But do it moderately. If you want to survive in the future. Don't you have something to do? Gong Pildu's eyes were shaky. I continued speaking. You will be in charge of protecting this place. Just like the third scenario, Gong Pildu was very useful for the fourth scenario. As long as Gong Pildu protected this place, Chungmuro would be safe unless someone on Yo Jonghyuk's level came. Why should I speak to you? This time I won't enforce it with a command. If you follow my request, there will be a reward. Think carefully. Think about your family. Gong Pildu's eyes became bigger at my words. You, how? At this moment, noise was heard from the tunnel. Bang tilde. There was a loud horn sound and headlights shone on the railway of Line 4. There was a bike engine sound and an exhaust sound. Something was coming towards Chungmuro. Chapter 44, Episode 10, Future War, 3. It hadn't been long since the scenario began and already? I tried to recall the original story, but there was no recollection of such an early invasion. It meant variables had appeared. In the darkness, the headlights turned off and there was the sound of people talking. Ah, we finally made it to Chungnuro. Really, it took them a long time to break the scenario. Hey, be quiet. They are going to hear. And don't you know that the scenarios are different between stations? I watched as the people came closer with weapons. The most important thing in a battle was to take the lead first. I went forward, followed by Lee Hyun-sung and Jung Hee-won, then Yo-sanga in the rear. Lee Gil-young was still sleeping. How many seconds passed? The 4 men and women in the darkness walked towards this side. I opened my mouth. Stop there. Eh? Well, well. The people stopped in their traces when they saw the blade I was pointing. There were white bikes beside them. I heard weapons being pulled out, but a man's voice was faster. Wait a minute. Calm down. Oh, I can't even talk because I am too scared. Put down your weapons and slowly come this way. The man put down his weapon and approached with both hands raised. Once he entered the light, the man's impression wasn't bad. He gave off a reasonably favorable impression. His thin eyes were in a gentle curve. Don't be too wary. We didn't come here to fight. Then why did you come? Let's start with the introductions. I'm Kang Il-hun and I help manage the Dongdaemun group. Kang Il-hun? Nobody popped up in my head straight away. Furthermore, the representative of Dongdaemun, things were becoming strange. The exclusive skill, character list is activated. Since the skill worked, he was certainly a character in the novel. Character information. Name, Kang Il-hun. Age, 31 years old. Constellation sponsor, shameless good gossiper. Private attribute, rumors expert, general. Exclusive skills, weapons training LV2, art of communication LV3, spread rumors LV1. Stigma, making a commotion LV1. Overall stats, stamina LV12, strength LV13, agility LV13, magic power LV10. Overall evaluation, unfortunately, he didn't develop his character due to the wrong sponsor. But he is a person with good ability who can be used. He spreads rumors regardless of truth or lies, so be careful. Rumors expert. It was time for these guys to start acting. Kang Il-hun looked at me with slight impatience. Your name is? Kim Dokja. Ah, Kim Dokja-sai? A flash of wonder coursed Kang Il-hun's face as he heard my name. However, it was only for a short moment. Nice to meet you, Dokja-sai. Since you have a flag, you must be a station representative? That's right. He looked closely at the color of my flag and then the people around me. It was to confirm the power on our side. He was keen eyes, but unfortunately, he met the wrong opponent. If you have seen enough, get to the main point. Hahit. I beg your pardon. We also need to be concerned about safety. Kang Il-hun continued speaking without any panic. Once again, we didn't come to fight. What if we came with a good offer? I watched Kang Il-hun's party. None of them had a flag. How can I believe that? Won't you know if you check the rules? If we came to fight, we would have come with the representative. Only the representative can occupy the flagpole. It was true. It was obviously true. What is the offer? We came to ask for an alliance. At these words, the members of Chungnuro started murmuring. Kang Il-hun shook. Ah, you are uncertain because Chungnuro just opened. In fact, the 4th scenario has already been in progress for 2 days. 2 days? Yo-sanga reflexively muttered. Kang Il-hun nodded. Yes, the 3rd scenario is slightly different in content and duration between stations. Perhaps you didn't know this. Ah. The 3rd scenario was just over, but I already knew this. In the original story, Chungnuro was a latecomer in the scenario compared to other stations. In other words, we started with some losses in terms of information. In that sense, Kang Il-hun's alliance offer was a timely temptation. Information was required and this was beyond our strength. The problem was, what did the other side gain? It is a difficult offer to accept. I don't know if you have an ulterior motive. Dr. Sai's words are definitely right. You won't believe in the alliance, so I will first state what we will get from the alliance. In short, Chungmuro isn't our target station. How can I believe that? You can believe it or not. But please think about it. If Chungmuro was our target, we would have dragged the main force of our station here. To be honest, the flagpoles are most vulnerable just after the station is open. It wasn't very persuasive. What will you do if our target station is Dongdaemun? Haha, there is no need to worry about that. We already know the station that is targeting us. We didn't come to you for no reason. I see. Let's clear the scenario by helping each other, since our targets are different. Is that what you mean? That's right. Isn't it good to help each other at this time? Kang Il-hun smiled and nodded. I was silent for a moment and Yosanga opened her mouth. I have a question. Kang Il-hun grinned at Yosanga. Yes, what is it, pretty girl? Why did you come to Chungmuro? If you came from Dongdaemun, you could have made an alliance with other stations. It was an unexpectedly sharp point. Kang Il-hun looked slightly confused. Oh, that, as I told you, Chungmuro just opened. I mean, the other stations have already formed alliances. But I thought that Chungmuro wouldn't have. Haha, I have to ask, has Chungmuro already made an alliance? No, we haven't. Kang Il-hun looked happy at my words. Then form an alliance with Dongdaemun. You won't regret it. Above all, we have a winning solution for this scenario. A winning solution? Yes, in fact, our group knows the hidden secrets of this scenario. Kang Il-hun grinned and drove in the last nail. We will tell you if you agree to an alliance with us. After a while, I sat with Yosanga, Lee Hyun-sung and Jung Hee-won to exchange opinions. Yosanga spoke. What do we do? Should we establish an alliance? I'm going to disagree. I can't believe them. I feel uneasy. Once Jung Hee-won spoke, Lee Hyun-sung gave his opinion. But it wouldn't be bad if they have information about this scenario. Certainly, we can't fully trust them, as Hyun-sai said. Finally, they looked at me. I shrugged. Then for now. Once we made a decision, we called over Kang Il-hun and the Dongdaemun group, who were looking around Chungmuro Station. I will make a decision once I have met your representative. Oh, is that so? Where is your representative? At Dongdaemun. If you don't mind, I will guide you. Please do so. We got on the back seats of the bikes they came on. The people I took with me were Lee Hyun-sung, Yosanga, and Jung Hee-won. Lee Gil-young was left behind with Gong Pildu. It was because he overused diverse communication and hadn't woken up yet. Of course, I didn't forget to give an order to protect Lee Gil-young. Then let's go. There was the sound of the bikes turning on and we started moving. Once 20 seconds had passed, I opened my mouth. By the way, Kang Il-hun sighed. Yes. Those people, did they say anything else about Chungmuro? Here? What does he? For example, if you come here then there will be a very scary man called Yo Jong-hyuk. Haha, what are you saying? I gave a signal and our party jumped from the back seats of the bikes at the same time. Yosanga sighed. Yosanga used binding thread and tied the 4 bikes together. There was a roar as the bikes collided with each other. Kwang! Aeg! The Dongdaemun members screamed as they crashed down. Fortunately, our party was safely hanging in the air due to Yosanga's thread tied to the ceiling. It was a type of seat belt. It was an incredible feat that made Yosanga seem like Spider-Man. Kang Il-hun was covered in dust as he lay on the ground and shouted, What are you doing? What am I doing? That is what I want to ask. I looked at the dark tunnel. In order to ambush us, you should raise the level of the stealth a bit more. It was enough for me to detect despite not having absolute senses. Kang Il-hun noticed something was wrong and screamed, "Attack them!" At almost the same time, people hiding all over the tunnel emerged. I knew it. They were aiming for my flag. The character Jung Hee-won has activated the exclusive skill Judgment Time. The absolute good constellations have agreed to the use of this skill. Judgment Time has been activated. Eh? I thought it might not. Isn't this a complete mess? Jung Hee-won laughed with a surprised expression. It is hard to find bad people. Jung Hee-won spoke in a cold voice and her sword flashed through the dark tunnel. Her eyes were red from using Demon Slayer. The bloody light swept through the darkness as people were slaughtered. What? This crazy girl. Aeg. Seo-kiak. Seo-kikiak. There were 10 peep but Jung Hee-won killed them without a hitch. It was a scene that showed how much Jung Hee-won's stats had risen after the hidden dungeon was cleared. I also used white pure star energy and easily suppressed Kang Il-hun. A few hours ago, I was dealing with Yo Jong-hyuk. This guy wasn't very difficult. Dr. Sai, Chung Neuro. I looked back at Lee Hyansung's cry and saw that there was a commotion in Chung Neuro. They were ambushed as soon as we left Chung Neuro. I left Kang Il-hun to be tied up by Yo Sanga and rushed to Chung Neuro. There was already a melee happening on the platform. But I decided to watch the situation for a while. There was something I needed to check first. What are these bastards? Dozens of group members that ran from the Myeongdong direction waved weapons at the people of Chungnyeoro. By the way, the weapons they were carrying were familiar. That is Kim Sai's weapon. The Landlord Alliance members who headed towards Myeongdong had already been hit by these guys. Indeed, the wanderers who lost their group were just seen as living coins. The most noticeable enemy was one wearing a red flag around his head like a bandana. Gain control later. It will be over if I just put the flag in. That's right. He was the representative. Chapter 45, Episode 10, Future War 4. Push through to the flag holder. Based on the direction he was running from, he seemed to be the representative of the Myeongdong group. They had joined hands with Dongdaemun. The Myeongdong representative Kim Hyun-tae has used the additional effect of the red flag. It was someone who already changed the color of the flag. Furthermore, it was red. In fact, the key to struggle for the flag was the color of the flag. It was from white to red, navy, brown, purple and black. The flag provided increasingly better effects as the color changed. The Myeongdong group has received the buff effect of the red flag. Attack and defense has increased by 5% each. If the flag was already red, it meant he had occupied one or more stations or had killed the flag bearer of another station. Looking at his eyes, he seemed to have pretty good fighting power. But he shouldn't have aimed for Chungnyeoro. The character Gong Pildu has activated Armed Zone LV6. The character Gong Pildu has activated Private Property LV6. Gong Pildu didn't move too late. Trivial pups. I was glad I didn't have to use the command rights. If this was the case, I could leave Chungnyeoro's defense to Gong Pildu. The 8 mini-turrets fired at the same time towards the Myeongdong group running towards the flagpole. What? A whack! Do. Pieces of flesh flew through the air. Gong Pildu was truly a scam. Kuwak! Huddle up! The Myeongdong group gathered together in a tight defense formation, but it wasn't enough to endure the shells from the level 6 armed zone. It was a rewarding sight that made leaving him to clear the emergency defense scenario alone worth it. Kwang! 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 How many shots were fired? The enhanced magic bullets caused the Myeongdong group to be riddled with hold and collapse. Gong Pildu was scary as an enemy but strong as an ally. There wasn't information about this. Retreat. But there was no place for them to run away. Where are you going? The special option of Unbroken Faith is activated. The ether property is converted to fire. Twak. The ether blade made of flames created a wall of fire that blocked their escape. The moment that the confused people hesitated, Gong Pildu shot at them. Do. Pierce through. Quickle, cough. The Myeongdong representative was hit in the head by a magic bullet and the flag was released. Gong Pildu's eyes shone as he found the flag. Sheesh, this brat. Do you want me to step on your back again? The running Gong Pildu stiffened. Damn. I immediately picked up the Myeongdong flag that had fallen onto the tracks. Focus vanished from the eyes of the desperate Myeongdong group members. You have won the flag of the Myeongdong group. Your white flag has absorbed the cumulative achievements of the red flag. Your white flag has evolved into a red flag. I felt a stronger force swirling inside my body. You are one step closer to the King's Road. The flags after the red flag improved not just the ability's representative but also the surrounding group members. Apart from overall stats or S-grade and above items, the flag was one of the few ways to improve basic combat power. Due to this, groups aimed at stations other than the target station. The other king candidates would have already entered a full-fledged war to change the color of their flags. The stronger they became, the more they could enjoy this world. The remaining members of the Myeongdong group are waiting for your decision. I grabbed one of the wounded Myeongdong members in the area and asked, "Why did you aim for Chungmuro?" I had realized something when I first heard Kang Il-hun's words. It was true that Chungmuro had just opened, but it didn't make sense for them to rush in like they had been waiting. The observations of the party and the strange look he made when he knew I was the representative. These guys knew about this station from the beginning. I brought my blade to the man's neck and asked, "Tell me, who gave you the information of Chungmuro?" The most likely people were the prophets. The guys I met in Theater Dungeon mentioned hidden information that other people didn't know. I had been searching through ways of survival, but I never saw the group name prophets. If so, who were they? There were two hypotheses. One, due to an unknown variable, a new prophet had appeared apart from Anna Croft. The second, besides me, there was another reader. Honestly, I thought it was probably the latter. The prophet attribute wasn't so easy to obtain. Furthermore, prophets was a plural. Well, I could check it from now on. I looked at Gong Pildu and said, "By the way, why didn't you act more moderately? Why should I show mercy to those running wild?" Gong Pildu looked annoyed. Unfortunately, the people of Myeongdong group weren't able to answer because they had been hit by too many bullets. As soon as I asked them a question, they coughed up blood and died. In the end, I could only ask one person. I looked down at Kang Il-hun, who was behind guarded by Lee Hyun-sung. His eyes rolled uneasily while he was tied up with binding thread. Yo Sanger asked, "Was everything planned from the beginning?" I thought there was a high probability. As soon as the station opens, two groups will unite and attack. It was a prior promise. Saying things with such a good face. Yo Sanger's expression became dark. "Are you sorry? There isn't going to be an alliance." "A little bit. Don't believe in people too much. Things won't be as easy as you think in the future." "I know. Still, if possible, I wanted to believe. I was able to come here because I believed in someone." Yo Sanger looked at me. "Hey, how long are the two of you going to talk? Quickly pry the information out." Jung Hee-won interrupted us. Indeed, now wasn't the time to give life advice. I released the thread blocking Kang Il-hun's mouth. Kang Il-hun was trying to stay calm. "What will you do with me now?" "It depends on how much information you can give me." "Are you basing the standards on usability?" This guy talked back. Even in this situation, there was more to him than I thought. If so, I had to use a hardline method. Jung Hee-won said, "In any case, the constellations see him as wicked. How about trying torture?" "Why bother with torture? Just kill him if he doesn't speak." "Hey!" I pulled out my sword without hesitation. Kang Il-hun trembled as he looked up at me. "From now on, I will count to 3. If you don't open your mouth in that time, you will die. There is no reversal." I deliberately triggered white pure star energy and inserted the sword into the ground. 1. Kudududuk. The ground was scratched with the power of white pure star energy as the blade started to move towards him. Fragments of the floor flew towards his face. 2. The heat of the blade warmed his face as it approached his nose. In a short time, the ether blade would cut his eyeballs. 3. Dongmyo Station. I smiled. Torture? There was no need for that. Kang Il-hun gasped for breath and explained, "The people from Dongmyo Station gave us information about Chung Muro." Dongmyo, who was there? Who was it? He called himself a prophet. By the way, this guy's condition was strange. His eyes were rolling and his tongue hung out like a dead person. I had an ominous feeling. Surely it wasn't suggestion. Yo Sangasai, hurry and block his mouth with a thread. Fortunately, Yo Sangara's threat blocked this guy's mouth before it could close. Using suggestion to control information from leaking, they were more meticulous than I thought. On the other hand, it was easier for me to solve the problem. Suggestion was a skill that could only be used face to face. I looked down at Kang Il-hun and stated, "You are a lucky guy." If he was present, I could definitely identify one of the prophets. Before I went on the full-fledged search, I headed to the roof of the theater. He still hasn't woken up. Maybe it was because she didn't know I was coming, but Lee Ji-hai shook. Yo Jong-hyuk was still unconscious and lying on her knees. Jerk, he was the main character yet he wasn't going through any hardship. Meanwhile, I was the tired one despite being the reader. "How is it downstairs?" "Don't worry and rest." "Master, will he be okay?" "He will be fine. Although there might be some trauma left." "Trauma?" "His mental state is more fragile than a child's. He will be a bit better after a good sleep." "It sounds like you know a lot." "I know him the best in this world." I spoke in a dry tone and pulled out some paper, writing on it with a pen. I filled it with notes and handed it to Lee Ji-hai. "Don't read it but give it to Yo Jong-hyuk when he wakes up. Do you understand?" "I understand." She said so, but Lee Ji-hai would definitely read it. However, Lee Ji-hai wouldn't be able to understand it since it was filled with things only Yo Jong-hyuk would know. By the way, did the information on the paper also look like for the constellations? The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband hates. Indeed. I was turning around when Lee Ji-hai opened her mouth. "By the way, can I ask you something?" "What?" "Earlier, with Master and a juicy." Somehow I seemed to know what Lee Ji-hai would say. Damn, Lee Ji-hai heard as well as Jung Hee-won? I've been stupid. I only considered the constellations and never thought about the humans listening. Yo Jong-hyuk would laugh at my stupidity. What was a good excuse? Well, that. You too. What? I decided to feign ignorance. Lee Ji-hai's expression became more serious. I mean, Ajuce's words. So what? Wake up, you jerk. Don't fall into those sentiments. Lee Ji-hai imitated my voice and shouted. I felt embarrassed suddenly hearing my words emerge from someone else's mouth. For the first time, that determination. Have you already forgotten? Wasn't something strange? This child, she almost heard it at the filtered level. I came here because of you. Why are you alone? We are together. No, wait a minute. I've always been around you. Don't lose hope. Think of the child. That isn't what I... Why did I come here if you are alone? I stared at Lee Ji-hai for a moment. No, how could she hear it this way? Something like that? A juicy, you and Master. I sighed. Think what you want. Indeed. Don't worry, I'll give him this love letter. I shrugged and turned around. Behind my back, Lee Ji-hai's bullshit continued. Wait. How did you give birth to a child? Ask Yo Jong-hyuk. Yes, Yo Jong-hyuk, I leave everything to you. The next moment, Indirect messages exploded in my head. Some constellations are greatly affected by the truth of the filtering. The constellation prisoner of the golden headband respects your taste. The constellation demon-like judge of fire likes your comradeship. The constellation's secretive plotter thinks it is ridiculous. 600 coins have been sponsored. Damn, there were other idiots. In any case, I told Yo Jong-hyuk what I needed to. I hurried through the theater. During the time Yo Jong-hyuk was the sleeping prince, I had to gain as much benefits as possible.